Hi everyone, it is Theodora and I'm here with conductor Enrique Mazzola. He is currently the music director designate of Lyric Opera of Chicago, and he is conducting currently Maria Stuarda in Zurich. Today we're going to talk about what it's like to conduct during a pandemic, Bel Canto, and auditions. Hi Enrique, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm really fine. You know, I'm in Zurich in this very moment. Conducting a very beautiful Bel Canto title, which is Maria Stuarda by Donizetti.
Wonderful. How have rehearsals been going? I'm sure it's been an unusual experience considering the current circumstances.
Well, everything is okay. Of course, you know, there are big differences between the US and Europe in this very moment. In Europe, there is really a very strong effort to try to reopen, which is sometimes very difficult. Everybody is really careful about the safety rules, but we had the possibility to have many rehearsals, of course, mainly with mask. So sometimes in stage rehearsal, it was not very comfortable to sing. Everybody had to mark, so that the first stage and the orchestra, after so long time marking, it was really difficult because also the body aptitude, singing at the full voice is completely different from the body and voice attitude when singing marking behind a mask, you know.
Of course. That's really interesting. I would have thought, just from an outside perspective, that most of the problems, because, I follow you on social media and I saw that, when you were rehearsing with the orchestra, it was in one room and the singers were in completely a different room. I thought a lot of the issues would stem sort of from the technology, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, technology today is very advanced, it's very good. I think we had, until some years ago, the real problem of videos, screens, with a sort of delay in distance. Now, even with the best screens, there is really a tiny micro delay, which is not revealed until when there are not the fast tempi.
Okay.
In a slow, it sounds funny, but when there is a very slow, beautiful Bel Canto cantabile, you don't even notice this. But when you are in the middle of vivace alla breve cabaletta, then you start to feel, oh my God, with the orchestra, I'm a little bit ahead, and the singer is struggling to go into the tempo of the orchestra. So it's difficult, it's a challenge. As I often say in this period, is a solution, it's a compromise. So it's not a definitive way to do the orchestra. It will not do the opera. So we will not do opera in this way. But how can I say? It's better than nothing.
Oh yeah. Do you have any predictions for what it might look like during this pandemic period? Do you think it will continue in this way, or do you think there are things to be learned about the way that you have done it?
I'm not sure I have an answer about this. We don't know what is going to happen in the next month. We don't know which is our answer for the next months. We don't know exactly which is the limit between possible safety instruction and rules and the possibility of performing. I see now that even in Europe, numbers are growing, so it's not going better, it's going worst. So at the moment, there are not really new solutions. But if everything goes worse, I'm afraid that again in Europe, as it happens in US, theaters will close. In some way, Europe has been brave to reopen, very careful, but there are many other factors, because we have to underline that the audiences for classic music, so symphonic concerts for opera, it's a very, how can I say, engaged, concerned audience. I've been here also to see the shows of my colleagues at the Opernhaus Zurich. They have done a Verdi Gala, they have done Boris Godunov, and you could notice a very disciplined audience, everybody with a mask, everybody slowly and distancing, leaving the theater or entering the theater. You could see in the Verdi Gala all the orchestra occupying the whole huge, deep stage of Opernhaus Zurich, each one with its own stand and staying, I think, 1.5 meters between them. So it's not because of us. It's important for me to say that actually our classic music world actually is really aware of what is happening. I see people from both sides, performers and the public audience, very concerned and very careful and very respectful about the safety rules. So this is also a message for some, how can I say, politicians who want to put us in the same situation, in the same guilty responsibility about what happened. In the majority of the cases here in Europe was because we had a very wonderful summertime, and let's say the younger part of the population enjoyed, after so long lockdown, the possibility to live a normal life outside, which brought actually to a big number of new cases. So I say again, nobody is really guilty, but you see, it's not people who went to listen Beethoven 9 in some summer festival, I would say.
I personally would tend to agree with that statement. Well, as you know, here, there's less of that question because most things are still closed. I'm curious, a lot of people are bringing their stuff completely online, and I was just curious what your opinion on that was.
Well, listen, Lyric Opera of Chicago just announced the plan, the new imaginative project for the fall, instead of our regular opera season. And of course, it's a project which happens mainly in internet. You know, if from one side we are missing this beautiful emotion of the live performance, of something happens in front of you, at the same time with internet we reach a wider number of let's say audience, of public, of users, of how beautiful, how good, or how relaxing, how yeah, beautiful for the daily life can be opera and classic music. So in some way, you know, I tell you something. In some way, of course, it's terribly sad. Everything is happening. And in the other way, all this is pushing us musicians to explore territories which are completely unknown to us. And you know, I have how can I say, I have mixed feelings in my heart in this period. I noticed that today to appear on a podium, on a stage, it's a big privilege of actually very few artists. And I assure you that every time I'm on the podium in this strange period, which actually has not been very often, very rarely for me also. My thought was also to all my colleagues who had completely no possibility to be on the podium, to my colleagues who had no possibility to be on stage. At the same time, the few ones who have this privilege, I think we send a very strong message that our art is always alive, that if we are really careful, probably there are solutions which has to go through very big compromises, yes? So, you see, I'm living this period with really mixed emotions and feelings in my heart.
I think that's wonderful. And I mean, I know from my perspective, I'm very glad that people are performing live. So I'm very grateful that, you know, to a certain degree, you're taking a risk, right? When you go into the theater to provide art for other people. So I'm appreciative of that. I'd like to now talk about something completely different, and with young singers in mind, I would love to know what you look for in a singer and in the audition room, if there are things that really stand out to you.
You mentioned no auditions, yeah? So this is a very special word and very special moment. And I know that for many young singers, audition is a key moment for their career, for their experience, sometimes for their life also. I assure you, this is a quite, it's a question which arrives me quite often. And I assure you, it's very difficult to give a general answer, because every singer has a different experience, perspective, preparation, inspiration in the moment of audition. You understand? So for me, it would be easier to give a personalized answer to every single singer who may ask it to me, after I know the singer enough to give a proper answer. That's why I try to generalize now.
Of course.
That means that the answer could not fit for some singers, you know. Of course, you should propose only the arias you are absolutely mastering. You understand the meaning of the text, you understand the meaning of the music, and you understand also the dramaturgical situation in the opera, in the moment is happening this aria. I think this is very important. I appreciate when there is I don't know, Che gelida manina from Bohème situation, and I can see also a body attitude, a mind attitude, which support a vocal attitude in this specific tender, emotional moment of the opera. You understand? So for me, it's not just the beautiful notes, the high notes arriving at the end. I need to see that even in the audition, the singer is completely emotionally engaged in being Rodolfo, in being Mimi, in being whoever. And I think this is very important. Sometimes it may feel ridiculous maybe for a singer, you know, to be, okay, I'm singing Rigoletto and I'm doing like this. Okay, this is not that important, but at least, for example, the struggle of Rigoletto, this is very important. For example, if you prepare in audition a recitativo and aria, usually the recitativo is the most communicative moment. You tell something to the audience, you speak about something. So the recitativo is a very important moment. It has to be extremely communicative. Then the aria, you speak about feelings, yeah, love, hate, rage, yeah. But the recitativo, it has to be all your espressione has to be really here and sent to the panel, the board of the jury, how to say in English, of people listening. You know. So I think, you see, this is a general rule, and maybe somebody could say, yeah, but I feel very uncomfortable to show that I'm singing a certain role. But I think I like it very much to see this.
Well, after all, opera specifically is based on plays, so you would think that that is very important. I now would like to know, when you look at your colleagues, because you've worked with some of the most amazing artists over time, do you think that there is something that they do to maintain success?
To maintain the success, this is something very important, because we all think we are arrived to a certain point, and that we deserve it. It was a big work, big sacrifices to arrive. You know, me too, I'm into this, how can I say, international game of where we are going and where we are going to arrive. And I assure you that from my point of view, I never understand where I am arriving. So what is the success? Did I ever arrive to touch with my one finger the success? You understand? I'm a little bit big question mark about this. First of all, because I don't like artists saying, okay, I'm a successful artist, and you have to recognize, I recognize, and we are friends. So I'm not very in love with this kind of artist. So I like in an artist the fire of willing go always ahead, to try to reach always new challenges. You understand? So I think this is the key to success, and probably the key to be always successful, to never give up, to never sit down on your success. This is at least what I'm doing. If you formulate a question, Enrique, are you a successful conductor? I may answer you, yes, I'm a conductor. And I'm really working, I'm still working so much on my future, on my work, on my projects. So the concrete answer to your question would be, the key of success is always go ahead and never sit on your success.
I love that answer, but you must be very tired. I now want to talk about Bel Canto because you are a specialist. You're working on Bel Canto right now, and I would love to just like get into that a little more.
There are two very important rules I try to explain to all my young colleagues. The first is that Bel Canto is based on the legato. So if you really want to sing this repertoire, you have to master the art of support, sustain a phrase through the notes and through the correct pronunciation of it, the syllabic system of Italian language. So this is the first rule. The second rule is that I try to convince always the singer that the singer is the tempo in Bel Canto repertoire. And because in 1820s, 1830s, 1840s, the figure of the conductor was not yet clear. Sometimes was a so-called maestro al cembalo. Of course, there was not a cembalo, there was not even an harpsichord. There was somebody playing maybe a very early type of piano, but who was absolutely obedient to the tempi of the diva, of the prima donna, or the tenore. Or there was a sort of concertmaster, the leader of the violin section, who took the responsibility to translate the tempo of the singer to the whole orchestral group. Of course, today we have the figure of the conductor who takes responsibility. But my responsibility is now to ask the singer a stylistic decision to be responsible to maintain and to show to the orchestra a very steady, a very clear tempo. So this is a very important rule of Bel Canto. And it's still valid until 1850. You know, until, let's say, Verdi trilogy, there was a conductor who probably at that time was not yet so important as the prima donna or primo uomo in the group of singers.
Thank you. I'm also curious about ornamentation. When you work with singers, how much of the ornamentation do you want them to have had prepared previously?
Well, ornamentation prepared, home prepared, it's always welcome. I mean, we have a little bit lost the art of, the creative art of building ornamentation, like creating a new cadenza, or, for example, creating the ornamentation for the second time of a cabaletta or of an aria. So I always invite singers to propose me their ornamentation, and you know, the final result of the ornamentation, so the result that we will sing on stage for the performances, it's a work not of an hour, not of one day, but it's a work sometimes of 2-3 weeks of polishing the arrival of a cadenza, maybe the virtuosity of very fast 16 notes, so that let's say I'm really ready to work with the singer about the prepared ornamentation to have to arrive at the first performance with a common work, which maybe at the end reflects the work of the singer done as a preparation. Yes, it's absolutely possible.
Have you ever had to change the ornamentation during the staging process because you found that it didn't quite reflect the emotional intent that the director had?
That's correct. This is a beautiful question. Well, especially in Europe, directors have a very strong ideas on the dramaturgy of the opera. So it happens to me really often to try to remodulate the ornamentation in Bel Canto repertoire to fit with the new director's cut of a certain role. So the answer is yes, it happens.
Okay, wonderful. I guess my last question about ornamentation is are there some key components that you should think about when creating your ornamentation? Because I know that a lot of people see it as an opportunity for the voice to shine and sometimes less about like the character's expression. And I'm just curious what you think about that.
Well, you mentioned the two important elements: to respect the character and to respect the importance of a voice shining. Both I think are very important, because if from one side we have to respect a Tancredi into Rossini drama, from the other side we also have to understand that whoever was singing Tancredi in Rossini times was also using the cabaletta and the aria moment to show her talent at the time. So I think it should be rightly a good balance between two.
Okay, wonderful. So I know you're an avid reader and you have quite an extensive library. I'm wondering, do you have a book recommendation on Bel Canto?
Yes, there is a fantastic book by Philip Gosset, Divas and Scholars. And there are a lot of anecdotes about Bel Canto, a lot of very good suggestions about how to sing this repertoire. And well, Philip Gosset was one of the biggest specialists in this repertoire. So very good, very, very important book.
Thank you so much. My last question for you is a question I ask everybody. Do you have any advice to the young singers of today?
Well, my advice is to be yourself as much as possible, to listen the suggestions of the teachers who are around you, but I really suggest you to be able to be like a radar, not to listen only one suggestion, but to listen many. And sometimes in our job happens that many of these suggestions are completely opposite. So to be able to make a good balance about everything, I would suggest put everything into your bag and take out of the bag what fits to you. This is what I have done from when I was, let's say, 15, 16, until, I assure you, until now.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I've learned so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. We have been in the wings with Enrique Mazzola. Check out his Instagram, Enrique Mazzola now. And if you want to read more about him, his website is www.enriquemazzola.com. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. And if you have questions that you would like me to ask in the future, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in.